The only thing lower than Trudeau's credibility is his intelligence.
It doesn't matter what day of the week, things are heating up here in Canada. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David, and today's top stories, we've got the Khalistani movement, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, and the Indian government in a big head-to-head match here. The Indian government absolutely destroying Justin Trudeau, calling him out on his lies and his crap. Jagmeet's caught in there. I've got the receipts. Let's jump into this. First off, I got a couple clips here from the CBC. We're going to just recap the situation here.
All right, the Prime Minister delivered an even stiffer rebuke of India today. At the foreign interference inquiry, Justin Trudeau said India made a horrific mistake by thinking it could interfere with Canada's sovereignty.
It seems like folks within the Indian government have decided to create violence and unlawfulness in Canada as a way of demonstrating the point that they are trying to make, that there is violence and unlawfulness in Canada. And I think that is exceptionally egregious.
Canada expelled 6 Indian diplomats the RCMP says are persons of interest in a series of violent crimes across Canada. But CBC spoke to sources close to the investigation.
So we're going to move over here. We've got this video here. It says pro-Khalistani activists call for more safety measures.
But we do expect more. Sikhs are expecting more steps to be taken to ensure peace and tranquility in Canada.
Members with the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara and the group Sikhs for Justice are calling for more safety measures. They say they want to see India's consulates shut down in Vancouver and Toronto.
If these consulates are shut down, then the political immunity gets lifted, and that gives an easier path for the RCMP and the Canadian government to make sure that these type of criminal activities are not taking place against Canadian citizens.
On Monday, the RCMP commissioner accused Indian diplomats of having a role in what he called widespread violence, including murders targeting Canadian citizens. Canada then announced it's expelling 6 Indian diplomats. India has denied the RCMP's allegations and retaliated by ordering 6 Canadian diplomats to leave the country within a week.
Agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen.
In September of last...
So he said the killing of a Canadian citizen. Let's just stop there for a second. This is that Canadian citizen Justin Trudeau is talking about. This is Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Now, I'm sure we've all heard of him here. For anyone who's just getting caught up, this guy was denied access to Canada 3 times, eventually got access through Mark Miller's corrupt, broken immigration system in 2022. Here's another picture of that Canadian citizen. This doesn't look like any Canadian citizen I know, especially since his toy here is illegal in this country. But he was a leader of the Khalistani movement, and Justin Trudeau protected him, and he announced this in Parliament during question period. He pointed the finger at India a year ago and blew this whole thing up. So Justin Trudeau, it's obvious he is protecting the Khalistani movement. He's not even just sheltering them. He is full-blown protecting them and supporting them. He's pew-pewed in Surrey by 2 unidentified assailants. He's 43 years old. So we look down here, it says he ran a plumbing business in Surrey. He traveled to Geneva in 2013 to appeal. In 2014, he openly called for separation of the Indian state of Punjab. A warrant was also mentioned that Najir's name had surfaced following in 2007 Pow Pow Shingar Cinema in Punjab. 2016, second Interpol notice made fresh allegations that Nijjar, calling him the mastermind and key conspirator between many pterodactyl events in India. So India doesn't like this guy. He's deemed him as a full-blown pterodactyl, and they wanted him back. They called for Canada to give him back, and Justin Trudeau refused. Side note, this ad down here is hilarious. Am I gay test? So back over to CBC.
Last year, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that Canadian intelligence services were investigating a potential link between India's government and the killing of BC Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Surrey. 4 Indian nationals have since been charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy.
Even at that time, what was really positive was that our economic relationship had stayed intact. So our trade was still ongoing. Actually, it increased in 2023. And so I think the impact we are going to see is that this economic relationship might now fracture.
Meanwhile, the head of the RCMP is urging people with knowledge relevant to its investigation to come forward.
So Najjar was a Khalistani activist, a mouth for that organization, which has been deemed a pterodactyl organization, pterodactyl group in India, and Justin Trudeau very much is supporting that group. Now here's just one example of what they do in Canada. So they're not allowed to gather in India because they would just get rounded up and thrown in jail. So what they're doing is rallying, fundraising, and gaining support in Canada. So Trudeau is basically harboring this group and letting them to gain strength out of the country that they're revolting against. It's ridiculous. So anytime you've seen these crazy guys running in the streets, I showed one clip a few days ago with the yellow flags and a bunch of scimitars and other pokey things, that's them. And those are real things, even though they declare them as religious props. They are running around with barbarian tools, which is absolutely insane. We've also got Jagmeet Singh, who very much seems like he's supporting them. Just a few days ago, he was commenting on expelling the diplomats and going after them. The Indian community did not like that.
I can't see why we would do anything other than put in place severe sanctions on those diplomats, on Indian diplomats. The Modi government has to be held to account, and we all need to be unified as Canadian leaders. All of us have to be united in denouncing Modi and making sure we protect Canadians and put their safety first and foremost. Thank you.
He's gone after Modi multiple times. He clearly doesn't like Modi. That's why this Khalistani movement likes Jagmeet Singh. Another group that likes Jagmeet Singh is the Sikh supremacy group. Now, these Sikh supremacist people, they have meetings, and someone who's joined in on these meetings is none other than Jagmeet Singh, the guy sitting right here with the green turban. So just to break this down real quick, the Sikh supremacy meeting here, these are not Khalistanis, but often there's a lot of Khalistani supporters who go to these Sikh supremacy meetings. Looking at my notes, Sikh supremacy meetings generally refer to gatherings that promote the idea of Sikh superiority or dominance over other groups, often based on a sense of historical grievances and the desire for greater political power. While these meetings may include separatist sentiments or rhetoric, they are not exclusively focused on the Khalistani movement. Basically, these people are not the exact same group as the Khalistanis, but they often overlap. Now, let's take a look at this video and just pay attention to Jagmeet off screen here. I'll make it big for you guys. Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP party, sitting in on this meeting.
One is about sovereignty explicitly and uncompromisingly. It endorses the superiority of our culture, our language, and our ideals. It is about Sikh spaces and Sikh institutions. And it endorses violence as a legitimate form of resistance and survival. It endorses the superiority of our culture, our language, and our ideals. It is about Sikh spaces and Sikh institutions. And it endorses violence as a legitimate form of resistance and survival.
Endorses pow pow. I don't know, Jagmeet. Not a good look here, buddy. So with that, you can make your own observations of which side you think Jagmeet is on. Clearly, the guy doesn't like Modi, and he's sitting at a table with a bunch of those guys. Now, this is coming out of Canada today. Check this out. So posted by Ryan Garrettson, it says, this is what Trudeau needs right now to help his relationship with India. A bunch of guys chanting long live Trudeau with Modi hanging in a cage.
Canada, Zindabad! Trudeau, Zindabad! Trudeau, Zindabad! Khalistan, Zindabad! Kill Modi! Kill Modi! Canada, Zindabad!
Yes, they are saying kill Modi in the streets. This is just as bad as the death to Canada stuff. Any prime minister of a country, any country, would stand up and say, yo, you can't say that about another leader of another nation. This is absurd.
No killing! Canada! Zindabad! Canada! Zindabad! Canada! Who is terror? India! Who is terror? India! Who is terror? India! Who terror? India! Terror houses! Terror houses!
Long live Trudeau. So Trudeau's got another pterodactyl group here that supports him. Trudeau's brought in a lot of pterodactyl groups into Canada, this one waving the yellow flags. Now, with that said, the Indian news absolutely destroys Trudeau, brutally rips him apart in this. It's not only the host here, but another guy they bring on later. They both go off on Trudeau.
Justin Trudeau is not just a weak-willed, immature, pretty puppet prime minister being used as a front by India's enemies, but he's also a bad Canadian, a politician so desperate that he's severely embarrassed his own country. Before you accuse me of losing my objectivity, let me tell you that these adjectives I've just used have been used by his political opponents, by mainstream analysts in Canada to describe him after he has failed to come up with the goods. Nevertheless, what I can say with some measure of certainty is that Trudeau has only himself to blame. That's because Justin Trudeau has gambled his nation's credibility by making a baseless allegation against India, a responsibly rule-abiding, democratic, emerging power that has been a force for good on the international stage. We would never have known that Trudeau was misleading had he not admitted himself that his government's campaign to accuse India of carrying out extrajudicial killings of Khalistanis on Canadian soil lacked proof. Viewers, this is what he said before an important inquiry committee that is investigating whether his government, has been giving China a wide berth in Canada. More on that later. But viewers, let me quote what he said. We chose to continue to work behind the scenes to try and get India to cooperate. Their reply was, how much do you know? Give us the evidence. We asked them to investigate their own assets. At that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. We said, let's work together to look into your security services. India said, we're not doing that. Listen to him, viewers. Just listen to this. It's very important.
We chose to continue to work behind the scenes to try and get India to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging us. Oh, no, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services and maybe we can get that done. No, we're not doing that.
When India asked, show us the proof, he said that at that point, I only had intelligence, primary intelligence. I did not have evidentiary proof. So viewers, this admission raises serious questions about the motives behind Trudeau's attack on India. We all know that he is one of the most unpopular incumbent prime ministers in Canada's history and is trailing in the approval ratings behind his Conservative Party opponent ahead of elections.
This is wild to hear news, national news in another country that's just so honest. You would never hear the CBC say this stuff.
Those elections can happen, viewers, in the next 8-9 months. Trudeau thinks that he needs a diversion. And what better diversion to win back voters than by playing some muscular populist by inventing a foreign hand, destabilizing Canada and pinning all the blames for his failures on India.
Wow.
We also know that he needs to appease the Canadian Sikh Khalistan apologist leader of a key ally, the NDP, that has drifted away from him, leaving his government on the verge of collapse. He may not even have the next 6 months in office if the NDP remains alienated from him. So Trudeau thinks by playing India out to be anti-Sikh, he hopes his estranged ally Jagmeet Singh will return to the fold. Now viewers, in around 20 parliamentary constituencies in Canada, the Sikh vote is decisive. That's why he needs Jagmeet, and Jagmeet, viewers, as you know, is a Khalistan apologist, and by making all this song and dance, Trudeau says, well, Jagmeet will think that I am in his corner and he'll give me the support that I need. But what?
There's something going on more than that. I'm sure there's a backdoor deal I mentioned in the previous videos, not only for the pension, but Jagmeet wanting that power. He wanted more people from India. Trudeau made a deal with him, and that's how that worked. Those dates really line up with the supply and confidence agreement, with the massive increase in immigration only from India, not worldwide, just with India.
What we didn't know before yesterday was that he had also become a handmaiden of the Pakistani deep state and the Chinese CCP that are desperate to diminish India's growing influence in North America. And viewers, you just have to listen to the chief of the intelligence services that reports to Trudeau, who said that Pakistan has got a free hand in Canada to cut down India's influence. And it is doing this by actually propping up Khalistanis. I'm not saying this, viewers. The intelligence chief of the Canadian #1 intelligence agency is saying it, and she reports. To whom? But to Mr. Trudeau. And there's no better way, viewers. Trudeau is found to please his masters than by going after India. In fact, Trudeau is facing an inquiry over his party's links to China and the possibility that he let Beijing interfere in Canadian affairs for a price. Naturally now, that Trudeau has admitted that he never submitted proof to India of its alleged involvement in killing Canadian Khalistan Sikhs, despite going public with his accusations against India, New Delhi is rightly now claiming vindication.
This is wild. So Trudeau basically just had intelligence, didn't have proof, made these massive accusations, and now Canada. Trudeau looks terrible.
New Delhi has come out and said, Canada has presented us no evidence whatsoever in support of the serious allegation that it has chosen to level against India and Indian diplomats. The responsibility for the damage that this cavalier behavior has caused to India-Canada relations lies with Prime Minister Trudeau alone, unquote. Listen in, viewers, to the Ministry of External Affairs, what they said today. Here is Foreign Secretary speaking. Okay, we'll try to get that for you in just a few moments, but viewers, the Indian government's claims are underlined by the plainly visible contradictions in Trudeau's and his government's several claims. And let me just bring them out. The charge that he made launched investigation because there were clear indications that India violated our sovereignty, unquote. Not my words, his. Clear indications. Viewers, you get clarity when you have proof. But the contradiction is that Trudeau admits when he went public with the accusations last year, he, quote, lacked evidentiary proof, unquote. He made another charge. He raised the issue with Prime Minister Modi on the sidelines of G20 meet. But Modi's response was unhelpful, he says. The contradiction is clear. Trudeau admits that in September 2023, which is incidentally also when the G20 happened, he had only, quote, shared intelligence, unquote, viewers. And that too preliminary intelligence. And guess what, viewers? That intelligence was being shared to him by guess whom? Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. Yes, that madcap Khalistani who lives.
So his intelligence came from a Khalistani. This is wild. So this is about to really ramp up now.
In America, because he confessed yesterday to it to the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, on air. Here's another charge. Canada fully respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of India, but Indian government not reciprocating, unquote. The contradiction. The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Assistant Commissioner Bridget Gauvin, inadvertently admits presence of pro-Khalistani elements on Canadian soil. Viewers, Khalistani elements you are nursing, and then you are telling us that we are looking after India's territorial interests. Can you believe it, viewers? This guy is a two-faced liar. Here's another charge. There is a violent extremism threat in Canada that Canada and India have been working on over the years. Here's the contradiction. Since 2003, India has sent 26 extradition requests to Canada, including one for Hardeep Singh Nijjar in 2022. All have been rejected, viewers. If you were cooperating with us, you would have handed back some of these characters. That's plain.
Yeah, they're basically calling out that Trudeau was harboring these pterodactyls in our country. This is crazy.
and simple. There's another charge. He says, we believe the Bishnoi group is connected to the agents of the government of India, unquote. Here's a contradiction. Canada says India uses Lawrence Bishnoi for hit jobs, but forgets it harbors his partner in crime, Goldie Brar and associates. This is weird. There's another charge. FBI and RCMP sharing all information that is prosecutable. The contradiction. When US intelligence has information about pending assassinations, it warns not only friends, but also adversaries in advance. And it has done so with Iran. So why wouldn't it do so with India, viewers? Charge. Another charge. The use of organized crime syndicates by India to create a perception of an unsafe environment targeting South Asian community in Canada. The contradiction provided by the Canadian intelligence report itself, which listed Khalistanis as one of the top 5 terrorist threats in the country, but later watered down the claims under pressure. Viewers, nothing is adding up. And despite the Canadian Prime Minister's confession and despite the egg that is literally dripping off his face, there are some in India that are still prepared to give him a wide berth, to believe him. In fact, a section of the India bloc parties is placing the onus on India, on Prime Minister Modi, not on Trudeau. Instead of closing ranks to join in condemnation of Canada, viewers, they are carping. Here's Congress MP and ex-Punjab Chief Minister Charanjit Channi. He says, quote, India and Canada enjoy very good relations. People from Punjab are living in Canada in very large numbers. We enjoy good people-to-people ties. So we should not spoil the relationship with Canada. Our government should take steps to improve the bilateral ties. Agencies are involved in the rise of gangsters, unquote. Viewers, this guy could be speaking as if he just got a brief from Trudeau. Because this is absolutely bizarre.
That is what it sounds like. Somebody sent a member over from Trudeau's office or something. This is crazy. So Trudeau is basically protecting these Khalistani separatist pterodactyls in our country. And they're gaining power, gaining support, gaining money, funding, all of that. And the Indian government can't really do anything about it. And so Trudeau said, well, Modi's come over here and taken them out without any proof. This is so bad for our country.
There's Rashid Alvi, Congress spokesperson. He says, quote, Canada has been raising this issue for some days now. Not just Canada, America and Pakistan have also raised such issues. Whatever has been happening with Canada, the government should give a clarification regarding it. The current situation is denting our reputation in the world, unquote. Viewers, are you now going to start taking Pakistan also at face value?
So next up, they bring in some guests here, but the guy in the bottom left here, this guy just absolutely destroys Trudeau. You're about to witness something special.
Based on my year-old sarcastic tweets, I have been charged by the Canadian government agency with interfering in Canada's internal affairs and politics. And what are those 2 tweets, by the way? The first one says that Osama bin Laden was a Canadian citizen. If he was, he'd be very much alive and staying in Ottawa off Sussex Street, where Trudeau stays, with his 5 wives and 20 kids. And the second tweet was a comment on Trudeau's father, who refused to extradite Kanishka's terrorists, as you know. And I remarked on Justin Trudeau that an apple never falls far from the tree. I do admit I might not have been factually correct there, because if Justin Trudeau is an apple, then the tree is quite possibly not Canadian but Cuban, if you know what I mean. But Rahul, I speak as a layman, so my words are not restricted or cushioned by diplomacy or tact. First, there is no credible evidence that India killed Niger and other terrorists abroad. But second, even if it did, these thick as custard semi-literates don't even realize that if they claim that through scheme and stealth, Modi has systematically wiped out 20 designated terrorists on foreign soil, far from being outraged, 1 billion Indians would be ecstatic. I mean, did any sensible American disapprove President Obama killing Osama on foreign soil? Which Indian wouldn't want his country safer through his leader taking steps to eliminate his enemies?
You can't disagree with the guy there. I mean, 1 billion Indians would be ecstatic if he took out 20 pterodactyls in another country.
Every powerful nation runs covert ops. It is not only sensible, it is vital. And this Niger is the same guy who was put on a no-fly list, not by India, but by the West. It's the same guy who actually was involved, a terrorist. He was bombing and assassinating innocents, formulating of Indian diplomats wanted the breakup of India. And this Trudeau is the same guy who congratulated America for killing al-Zawahiri, if you remember. He said, quote, "Killing of Zawahiri is a step towards a safer world. Canada will keep working with our global partners to counter terrorist threats," unquote. But when it comes to someone that India designates as a terrorist, wants him extradited from Canada, someone who was heading a terror outfit, suddenly Trudeau enters into apoplectic fit. Why was Trudeau quiet when ISI recently killed a famous Baluch activist? Honestly, the only thing lower than Trudeau's credibility is his intelligence. He has single-handedly, Rahul, ruined Canada's relations with India, possibly for years, if not for decades. And for what? For piddly little gains in his Canadian electoral politics?
This guy is crazy. Wow, that was a good... The only thing lower than Trudeau's credibility is his intelligence. There's the quote of the day from Indian News.
Remember, Trudeau is the same guy who is doing nothing to stop the funding of secessionist groups in Canada who want to foment trouble in India. The attack on our temples, our embassies, the making of kill lists, the grisly tableau showing Khalistan is gunning down our ex-prime minister. And what does Trudeau do? Absolutely nothing. And now he's jumping like a cat on a hot tin roof. You know the reason? His party has lost important by-elections in Montreal.
He's jumping like a cat on a hot tin roof. I've never heard that in my life. That's hilarious. Yeah, so he's lost an important by-election, St. Paul's. He lost the recent one there in Montreal.
20 of his own MPs have asked him to step down. His alliance partner Jagmeet is no longer with him. Separatists in Quebec are forming up for a revolution of sorts. He's going to be toast in the upcoming elections. So this is a totally political move by him, and it will backfire spectacularly.
The trouble is, viewers, that if he is indulging in what is now being commonly referred to in the global south as selective white moral fake outrage, why is it being amplified on our soil?
They continue with the interview there, but that's the best parts of it. Indian News not holding back on Trudeau, and they're really bringing up the receipts there. It's wild. Is there honestly a word there that guy said that was incorrect? Like, no. Trudeau is making an absolute mockery of the situation. He's doing it on purpose because trying to get us to forget about the STTC scandal. You know, the whole thing shut down the government. The government is not functioning because of him. So he just decided to crap on the world stage here with India to try to sweep this under the rug. So we'll see if he comes back with a motion of closure next week, or is he going to prorogue the government? What else can he do? He has no other options. Aside from calling an election, you've got to think now, though, how long is it going to take for Pierre Poilievre to rekindle this relationship with India? After he's gone? Is it going to be, you know, a forgiving relationship, or like, oh, well, you had that dictator in there in Canada and it's quick, or is there the trust is lost, and is it going to take some time? That's the hard thing to know here, which is really sad because, you know, these relationships between different countries take a lot of time to build. But it's really easy to burn them down real quick. It's just like a building, right? It takes time to build it. It's easy to tear it down. That's what Justin Trudeau has done here with our relationship with India. Can't put it past Captain Schmuck, though, to just do whatever is possible, whatever is needed to hurt Canadian lives, to hurt this country. He's the most unpatriotic Canadian in this country. You would even say Hardeep Najjar is a more patriotic Canadian than Justin Trudeau at this point. The Khalistani movement has to stop. The Khalistani movement is gone way out of control in Canada. You see these guys not only in Surrey, but in Calgary. They put the flags in the cars. They start driving around town. There's always like 20, 30 of them. They put up these big signs with Modi, that, you know, like the one I showed you there. That was a bit more extreme with the cage, but often they have big banners, horrendous things written on them that shouldn't be allowed. The cops don't do anything because they're getting their orders from Justin Trudeau, and the things just get worse and worse. Just here, when we thought we got rid of the main problem here with the Samadoun people, and now we got these guys flaring up. How many pterodactyl groups in Canada is Justin Trudeau supporting at this point? And the real question is, how many years is it going to take to clean up his mess?